It is so nice to see everyone here in the room, some great long-standing partners and some new partners. And also hello to those joining us virtually for our annual Chesapeake Gateways Network training. We are thrilled to be back together, and we are here to really reconnect as a network. And so those that are with us in person and those that are online, we are really looking to engage as thought leaders, engage as specialists in our fields, as managers of places and people that run programs to really reconnect as a network. And before I start, I always start with the map of the watershed, because when we talk about Chesapeake, we mean the full 41 million acre watershed. So first in the room, who's here from Pennsylvania? All right, a bunch of hands. How about Virginia? Yay, thank you for coming a long way. Maryland. Oh, go Maryland. Any DC? Thank you. Yay, DC. Delaware, New York, West Virginia. Yay, West Virginia. If you're joining us online, please put in the chat where you're joining us from. We're going to be saving the full chat. We thank you for being part of this opening session. We are very, very purposely focusing the open session to have a background on who Chesapeake Gateways is, but then also a open dialogue and conversation about how to truly make conservation and stewardship more inclusive and equitable. But before we begin, we do have, we want to start off in the right way and in the right spirit. And we have a special welcome to share from a true friend of Chesapeake Gateways, Congressman John Sarbanes.
Hey everyone, this is Congressman Sarbanes. I just want to thank all of you for gathering for this training for the Chesapeake Gateways program. I could go through all of the history of the program. I could talk about the amazing technical expertise and other supports that the National Park Service brings to bear. These are all things, obviously, that are going to be at your fingertips during this gathering. So I thought instead I'd just speak from the heart and say thank you to this amazing network of people and organizations that's grown up over the last 20 plus years to make sure that people across the Chesapeake Bay watershed can access the bay, connect to its history, its culture, all of the environmental benefits that it can bring to bear, and make themselves part of this ongoing effort to lift up and protect and preserve the Chesapeake Bay. The Gateways program is really a model for how you connect citizens and communities to something as critical as the Chesapeake Bay. And the people that have come through the Gateways program have made such an amazing difference. I want to thank Wendy O'Sullivan and the Gateways team at the National Park Service, obviously, for being at the center of that effort. My father, as some of you may know, Senator Paul Sarbanes, established the Gateways program more than 20 years ago because he wanted to bring to bear that technical expertise and knowledge that can come from the Park Service to help foster and connect people and citizens out there in various communities to the bay, enhance access to the Chesapeake Bay. So the training that you're going to get today is all designed to enhance that particular approach. And in Congress, for sure, I have continued to work hard to provide the resources and support for the Gateways program over my time in Congress. So we're keeping that support strong. There's a whole team that's behind it, but no one is more important than the people who've gathered today for this training. So again, from my heart, on behalf of something that I care so deeply about. I want to thank all of you for your continued commitment. Have a great session, and I look forward to working with you as we move ahead.
What a wonderful way to really begin the Gateways training. A message from the heart, a message with legacy and connection to the origin of Chesapeake Gateways. We really wish Congressman Sarbanes all the best in his next endeavors after Congress. And we just know that the Chesapeake will remain one of his close, strong passions. Across the years, the Chesapeake in general and Chesapeake Gateways in particular has really been fortunate to have support from the Sarbanes and from other key elected officials on all sides of the aisle and all across the watershed. And because of that support, you know, we really want to look back to the origins of Chesapeake Gateways. It was Senator Sarbanes that created the program through an act of Congress 25 years ago in 1998. And to this day, just as the congressman shared, it's considered a model in the Park Service because it was an ambitious and inclusive community assistance program and partnership network. And the authorities that framed the Gateways program still today remain bold, broad, and in some cases unique to the National Park Service. So when I started in this role in 2019, the before times, we worked as a team to go back to our roots, and we really looked to read the legislation and go back and sort of ground in the founding of what this special program is all about. So it may be a little wonky, but please come with me on a quick look back at this small act that was passed and this 25-year-old language that is still ahead of its time. The Chesapeake Bay Initiative Act of 1998 really set a new vision for the Park Service in community assistance and partnerships. It directed the Park Service to bring the power and expertise of the Park Service to the Chesapeake and to build a network of places and spaces and partners that weren't necessarily wholly or even in a majority way the Park Service. It was intended to bring in all different levels together across the full 41 million acre watershed of the Chesapeake, from upstate New York down to the Virginia Tidewaters. And it's at its core was meant to engage these places, connect these places for the purpose of connecting people to the Chesapeake, to bring authentic experiences forward, to set out a path to engage active tourism in the places and spaces that people are going, to build a movement for stewardship. And so just to kind of look through some of the pieces here that are really groundbreaking still to this day, the very first piece that's up above the list spells out who the MPS is authorized to work with. And it runs through all the normal classics, the other federal agencies, state and local governments, nonprofits. But then you see there's this string of words that really set us apart. Our act names local communities as one of the organizations or entities, types of entities we can work with. It also specifically uses the phrase "and the private sector." This is what makes us stand apart and what gives such potential future opportunities, why it was still ahead of its time, why we're still striving to meet the vision from 25 years ago. But it goes on from there. The first section in the purpose of what this new community assistance and partnership program was is so hugely broad. And Bob Campbell in our office uses a phrase, and I'm not going to get it totally right, but it's something like, we can do almost anything anywhere within the watershed, because it says that we are to conserve, restore, and interpret natural, historical, recreational, and cultural resources of the Chesapeake watershed. Remember, the watershed is the full 41 million acres. It's all of DC and parts of 6 states. And so this is a broad, huge mandate. And it then goes on from there to really spell out how and ways to do that. It talks about identifying this range of resources as Chesapeake Gateway sites. And then in utilizing those sites to connect people to the spaces and the stories and educate them and make sure there's public access to those spaces. It goes further to talk about creating the water trails and using tour routes and trails and roads as ways to knit all these individual special places together to lift them up as a whole. And of course, it set out the concept of creating the Chesapeake Gateways Network. This idea that we are together stronger, that we knit together across 6 states and all of DC to tell the stories of the Chesapeake. That one story might not by itself rise up, but when you tell all the stories and you can highlight and feature all the spaces, that's when magic happens. And when you move people to move on into stewardship and engagement and activation for such an important landscape. So thank you for humoring me as we ground a little in our past and our guiding principles, our guiding authorities and legislation. But we also, as we started, this is our 25th year, and we really want to celebrate and build on 25 years of impact. And so this is a map that through a partnership with Chesapeake Conservancy, we were able to map all the places over the 25 years that we have provided support. And it really has equaled $30 million of investment in places and stories and programs. And what you'll see here, and not a surprise, there's a clustering around the Chesapeake itself. And then you'll see some that run up the major rivers of the Chesapeake. So programs up the James, running all the way up the length of the Susquehanna. You can just barely make out a dot way up in upstate New York, where we follow the river all the way up. And so it has been so helpful to look back at what this office, doing quiet, good work, has invested in and made changes around. And there really are 6 big areas that over time we have supported. And it's youth programs, public access, conservation, land conservation, large landscape conservation, community engagement, stewardship, and really the concept of the trails and water trails. If you've been out across this big, beautiful Chesapeake watershed and you came across a water trail, it is very likely that at some stage, the great expertise and funding from the Chesapeake Gateways helped communities create that water trail. We have supported dozens of entry points and mappings and interpretive guides all across the watershed. And we've done more than is sometimes easily understood or seen, because these dots represent projects that are sort of on the ground. And I just want to say thank you to the incredible organizations that are out doing the day-to-day work, that are connecting with youth, that are presenting programs that have worked on saving resources, it is not a network. It is not impactful without the individual organizations. And I'm so thrilled that there's so many that are here with us today and online. Our office over the past 25 years has also invested in technical assistance and research and studies that are really in their own way groundbreaking. We have, over the years, invested in ways to understand where are the gaps of public access. We are proud that our office funded the first ever what are called Indigenous Cultural Landscape Reports, and did that in partnership with the Captain John Smith Chesapeake National Historical Trail, as they partnered with universities and tribal partners to tell the story of landscapes from Indigenous eyes. That effort, that first of its kind, has become a model nationally. And check the agenda, because there is a presentation that we'll be giving this week on the ability to continue to do learning and research on tribal affiliations and best practices for partnering with our tribes. We're also really proud of the work that we have done in large landscape conservation. In 2009 was the first year that we convened what is now known as the Chesapeake Conservation Partnership, and that partnership is still going strong. We co-convened that large landscape collaborative with the Fish and Wildlife Service and the Chesapeake Conservancy, and actually their annual meeting is right here at NCTC right after Gateways. It is making a difference, and over all these years, the Park Service has, in many ways, quietly been changing the landscape to be more inclusive, to include the concepts of centering people in the work that we do. I want to do a little shout out to retired Assistant Superintendent Jonathan Doherty. He might be online. He asked for the link. And just to say that, he really led the effort that started in 2010 as the new Chesapeake Bay Program Watershed Agreement was being negotiated. He played a pivotal role in making sure that the current agreement that was signed in 2014 includes land conservation, public access, and has multiple goals that center people. If not for those sort of efforts of internally, sort of maybe without fanfare, advocating for centering people, making sure that we're focused on the nexus of connections and people and conservation and stewardship, we wouldn't be as far as we are in the Chesapeake. So thank you to Jonathan and all the others that continue to hold up those pieces. Brittany Hall, who's on our team, serves as the co-chair for the diversity work group under the Bay program, and is doing great work to make sure that we continue the hard-fought negotiation to get those pieces in the watershed agreement. And one of the most recent pieces of technical assistance that we've done is with our longstanding partner from the Maryland Tourism Office to do a comprehensive study of visitation to the Maryland Bay towns and counties. And it really is revealing in very important findings and recommendations that's already helping our DMOs and our communities. And this is the kind of current research, current studies that we're looking to continue to do with partners across the watershed. There's a session with the team from Maryland Tourism Office to highlight this study and some of our great partnerships that we do together, with the goal of modeling it and bringing it out to other states and to other partners. Now, the looking back was important because it grounds us, right? And I just want to make it clear, when we talk about refreshing Chesapeake Gateways, it is not a new thing. We have really purposefully gone back to revive and bring forward this concept of the network so that it is alive again and is active again. It was a great idea 25 years ago. It is an even better idea now because we have caught up to the power and the strength of the concept. And we really are looking at this training as an opportunity for leaders to connect, to really rebuild, refresh, rebrand, and reconnect as a network. Because really we're looking to put together this network of places and partners that are providing welcoming and authentic Chesapeake experiences for all to enjoy, and to enjoy that then moves them to start to help conserve the Chesapeake Bay and its lands and its communities. And so we've been doing some pieces to refresh gateways internally and also with partners through a very engaged process with partners. Our office has issued and developed updated framework document. The original framework document for Chesapeake Gateways was created in 2000, and shout out to some folks that are in the room that were part of the work group. Lisa Gutierrez, and I don't know if Marcy's here yet. Yay, Marcy Ross were, and Bob Campbell were part of the original team that created the structure and framework and themes for Chesapeake Gateways. We have not put that aside. We took it and we refreshed it and revived it. And along with that, we've created an updated strategic plan. And these are the 4 pillars for the strategic plan. And our strategic plan has not just refreshed, but we have rebuilt and refocused gateways. It is meeting the intent of the Chesapeake Bay Initiative Act with a very purposeful focus on equity and inclusion. And so each of these pillars, all throughout them, it weaves in to acknowledge that we need to tell more full stories. We need to engage parts of the watershed that have not been engaged. We need to fill the network in the spaces that have been passed over or left behind or not included. We need to work with communities to make connections where tourism is part and parcel of a healthy, vibrant community, not something that maybe is feared or not realizing its full potential. And we have very purposefully in the new strategic plan brought forward an idea of working at a community scale. And so knitting together the individual places to function as a whole at a community level. So I want to thank the partners that were part of helping us develop this strategic plan. It was done virtually at the peak of COVID. We were all home, safe, and it actually let us reach more people in an interesting way. And the training for this week is really framed around these big pillar areas. And rebranding. Hopefully some of you have started to see and are loving our new word mark. And I want to thank Brent Everett, who's behind me, and he and Drew McMullen from Sultana are going to be doing a session. But really, this is a game changer for our office. I think some of you may remember, and you will see them all across the landscape. The original logo for Chesapeake Gateways was the Thomas Point Lighthouse. the lighthouse with the name of the program under it. We loved it. Maryland Tourism Office helped make it with us. It was neat and it really evoked of the Chesapeake. But we heard loud and clear from partners that it said nothing about the connection to the Park Service. So we have gotten blessing from the powers that be in the Park Service. There is such a thing as the brand management office that controls all the branding for the Park Service. They have approved us to use this lockup of the arrowhead and our new word mark. And not only that, they have approved our own blue. What you see here is a one-of-a-kind approach in the Park Service to allow our agency brand to have a color that is specific to the Chesapeake. And so our dusty blue is something that I cherish and love, and I want to thank again Brent for fighting the good fight, because this is the right thing to do for marketing, for communications. The other good fight that happened and also is new and rare in the Park Service is our URL. You would think it's pretty common to have URLs like this in the Park Service. But if you know us well, you know that we do this alpha code in the Park Service. We fought to say the whole word Chesapeake, and we got approval for that as well. It is the right thing to do. It is making a difference. We know our partners will want to use it and embrace it, and the public will understand us better, more easily, and more quickly. So after rebranding, we've also gone through what I would call is reinvesting. We received $3 million a year in congressional appropriations, and fingers crossed that by the 17th we are under a continuing resolution or moving forward. That $3 million, we have gone through a process to refocus, rethink, and reinvest where those dollars go. And they go to three main areas now. We have always apportioned some of our funds to what we consider technical assistance. That's the staff expertise of our office. And we've always provided funding through cooperative agreements or interagency agreements. And we have a team here from Department of Transportation's Volpe Center that we have an interagency agreement. They're helping us do remarkable projects to support gateways in equitable access as one example. But new is the box in green, and that is our new annual grants. That is the change that we heard, that we listened to, and that we have brought forward. As Eddie said, we just funded our first 22 new grantees. If you are here and you're one of the first 22, could you raise your hand? Oh my God, that's so fun. Yay. Thank you all. It was wildly competitive. There is so much need out there, and there were so many great projects. And it's so super to hear that our latest round had 55 applications. This is going to create a cohort every year of remarkable work happening across the Chesapeake. So that map that I showed earlier with the dots, it's year after year, it's just going to start filling up, and it's just really, really inspiring. But with investments, that blue box is something that I feel very passionate about and was a priority of mine as I started in this role. So please let me bring on stage and introduce to you the National Park Service Chesapeake Gateways team. Come on all, come on up. Come on up. This group of dedicated and talented individuals leading the MPS, go ahead. They are leading the MPS in dynamic communications, connected conservation, public access, inclusive storytelling, strategic partnerships, equitable grants, and, really just the best in business practices. I am so proud of this team. We are still growing, as you can see, but let's group, somebody come take this.
Anthony in the back with the camera.
If anyone doubted that Chesapeake Gateways is back, we are back. And we're ready to support you. We're ready to be engaged again, to bring support out to our partners and to our core network. Thank you all. Please stay up here because there is one among us that has a way with words and has a way of defining what Chesapeake Gateways really is.
This is our 25th anniversary year this year, and our history is in many ways is mirrored with their history. Over those years, we've made a dozen awards to Sultana, and we've repeatedly made those awards for the same reason that the senator alludes to, because they do good work with good money, right? And they have been a fantastic partner that amplifies the work of the Chesapeake Gateways Network, which is to get people in touch with their Chesapeake, to get out and experience it, enjoy it, hopefully have a vested interest, as I suppose that the folks that are here today, in its future, in its health and livelihood.
And Bob, we are honored and pleased to present you with a Distinguished Service Award for your 25, now make that 28 years of commitment to the Chesapeake. Thank you. We are thrilled to have everyone online joining us. We are thrilled to have everyone here joining us. We do have big work and big thinking to do together. We are reestablishing a network that started 25 years ago and needs to have an injection of energy and spirit. And we know the folks online and the folks in the room are going to help us together get there. And we want to start in the right way. We want to start with the right thinking together about what our next 25 years will be.